Look at this. Look at this. Both sides of this one are very important. So now, there's lots of stuff to show here. But first of all, what is the relationship of this one to the previous one?
Well, more posterior.
Yeah, it is more posterior. How do you know that?
Because we're starting to get temporal lobe involvement.
Well, that's one thing. That's true. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
The
Now,
rostrum's pretty much gone.
yeah, the rostrum is almost completely gone. Now look at this. What are those? But don't say anything. Now these are not in section. Because of the thickness of the section, we're actually seeing something, the front surface of something, which is further back there. So look at this. But don't say anything right away. The question is, what are we looking at there? Don't say anything right away there. Okay, so what are we looking at there?
Is that mass intermedia?
No.
Thalamus?
Or what?
It is thalamus. Now the mass intermedia is part of the thalamus, but that
Further back.
yes, further back. That's right. So what this is, what these are the anterior surfaces of the masses of the thalamus. So this is the very last of the anterior horn. You see, the anterior horn is shaped like this, but you see what's going to happen. Now look at this. The anterior horns are shaped like this. But what happens is a little further back, the thalamus obliterates the lower part of the lateral ventricle on each side, and you just restrict it to up here. And then when you see that with thalamus on the floor, we're a little anterior to that, you are in the territory of the body of the lateral ventricle. Okay, now,
Face is scary face. I don't see him anymore.
what? Look at this. Look at this.
Big in
There are holes over here. Pay attention to this. There are holes over here. What are these holes? Now let people see those.
Holes?
Yeah.
Holes?
What are these holes over here? Well, they're connecting these with something. So what?
Posterior lateral ventricles.
There aren't that many apertures that connect these with something else.
What alphabet does it start
Give us a clue. Come on now.
Well, the first word begins with a
What
T.
letter? What
Third
alphabet does it start with?
Almost. But what are the holes?
Third ventricle.
No.
The?
The second, the first word the first word is the. That's correct.
The thalamus tract.
And then in one form, well, it can't be a tract because that would be solid. There
Okay, what's the second word starts with?
well, there are synonymous terms for this. In one synonym, the second word begins with an I, and the third word begins with an F. Remember, it's a hole.
Fornix?
No, that's solid. And in the other synonym, the second word begins after the begins with an F. The third word is of, and the fourth word begins with an M.
Mesencephalon.
The so-and-so of the so-and-so.
Fimbria?
No, it's a hole. It's a hole.
Is it the mesencephalon or is it the myencephalon?
Neither. It's a hole.
Neither. Foramen?
M-U.
Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Here are the foramina of Monroe.
Like now?
And what are they connecting with back there?
Something. So cute.
That's not on those.
What are they connecting with back there?
What are they connecting with, Marilyn?
So what do the foramina of Monroe connect? Right. Yeah, the lateral ventricles with the third ventricle. Okay.
Oh.
So that means back there on the flip side of this, you'll see the third ventricle. And from the flip side, you'll be able to see light coming through the foramina. So you're looking back toward anterior through them. Okay, so these are the foramina of Monroe. And what's the synonym for these with the second word after the beginning with an I? Interventricular foramina. The interventricular foramina. Okay. So what's this gray over here?
I don't have that.
Oh, I know what that is. Billy, what was that lineup that we did?
Head?
The what?
Yeah,
The external
Of
capsule?
the caudate nucleus.
Yes.
we're getting back
Very
to the
little.
rear of the head of the caudate nucleus. So what do we have over here?
External
Putamen?
Yeah, the putamen.
putamen.
Yeah, that's still all putamen. We don't see globus pallidus yet.
That's what I think I'm thinking of.
Okay. So now just note, this sequence over here can be asked on any slice that shows it. Callosal sulcus, cingulate gyrus, cingulate sulcus, medial frontal gyrus. It's all there. Once
Never was
again.
a good speller.
Now let's go to the flip
Never really made it
side.
too far in spelling bees. She got knocked out in the first round.
Damn.
That's how I spell it, dog. That's my dog.
Now just look at this. I don't want to flip this one too many times though.
Me neither.
No, yeah.
Not even close.
Look at the lateral ventricle on this side. Look at its proportions on this side. Now the thalamus over here will obliterate this lower part as we get further posteriorly. So we'll just be left with this, which is what we're going to see on the flip side. And so let's do this. Okay, so now this has lots of good stuff on it.
Lots of good stuff.
Loose meat, that's no good.
Okay, so now look at the lateral ventricles. Now, what's that small mass of gray over there? That's the body of the caudate nucleus. The head is
Can you point that out
kind
again?
of right there, that gray right there.
Okay, thank you.
Body of the caudate.
Yes. So the head of the caudate nucleus is like a teardrop with a bend in it. So as it tapers backward, it tapers into the body. So that's what we're looking at here. So look at those little streamers over there. What are those? Cellular bridges. Now look at this. What's this whole thing over here? Okay, before that, what's this lighter gray area over there?
Is that globus?
Yeah, the globus pallidus. So you can see the globus pallidus in this one right there. This shows well. See that? Now what's the dark gray area?
Still putamen.
That's correct. Now what's the whole thing? The light gray area here is the globus pallidus. Yeah.
Putamen?
There's the putamen. What's this whole thing composed of globus pallidus and putamen? Yes, because with an L.
Lentiform nucleus.
Correct, the lentiform nucleus. So here we see the body of the caudate. There's the putamen and the little streamers. You can see little suggestion streamers over there. Those are cellular bridges. Although most cellular bridges join the head of the caudate with the putamen, as you get further back, there are some that join the body of the caudate with the putamen as well. So what's this?
Head of the caudate.
Body.
No, you,
You passed it.
yeah, because this is a coronal, so you'd either see the head or the body, but not both at the same time.
The internal
Nucleus of the
medullary
thalamus?
lamina.
Yeah, this is, I'll take thalamus.
Okay.
Thalamus. I was going to say
Okay.
that, but I was scared.
And notice that now the thalamus has filled in the lower part of the lateral ventricle, so we're just left with this part. And this part, which has the thalamus for a floor and the body of the corpus callosum for a roof, is the body of these are the bodies of the lateral ventricles.
Right.
Okay, now what's this cavity over here?
Is that third?
Yes, the third ventricle.
Can we see the things?
Yeah, now I'm gonna,
The holes?
yeah, I'm gonna try for that in 1 second after I show a couple
She
of other
slapped that
things.
right in your face, man.
Now, what is that?
Tract.
Yeah, now strictly speaking, that's
Olfactory.
what it is, but in clinical circles, that's called the optic nerve.
Optic nerve.
Now, what's this right over there?
Optic tract?
Yeah, that's right. Now, what are these?
Optic tract?
Yeah, that's what's called the optic tract in clinical circles. Really, the whole thing is a tract, but in clinical circles, this is called the optic nerve. There's the optic chiasma, and those are the optic tracts.
It didn't have a little piece of hair hanging out.
Now, what's that?
The third ventricle.
Yeah, now, where it touches the superior surface of the optic chiasma, what is that?
Interpeduncular fossa.
No, that's further back.
Supraoptic recess?
Correct. Yeah, the supraoptic recess.
Clusters the
That's an extension of the third ventricle which touches the superior surface of the optic chiasma. the superoptic recess. Okay, now let's see what we can do about this. Okay, so now let's try it this way. All right, now, what you need to do is this. Let's just see, is that open? Yeah. Let's just dump a little more fluid. And, now, you have to, here I'm producing a little bounce light.
I just keep saying.
You're
you must have used
producing a little
serrated knife,
bounce?
right? Is the knife serrated?
Maybe it's your peduncles.
Well, this particular brain, actually, this slice comes from a brain which was deep frozen and cut on a bandsaw.
Okay, because you could see
So,
the lines.
yeah. So even a good bandsaw, this is a pretty good bandsaw. The blade does tend to wobble a little bit,
Yeah.
so that's what produced that pattern.
Procession.
That's right. It precesses, correct. Now,
Doesn't count. It doesn't count.
look in this way
Does it make
and see if you don't see light coming through.
Milky white.
Look in that way and see if you don't see. Look in this way
I see light.
and see if you
I
don't
see
see
the light.
light coming through an interventricular foramen.
Yes.
You have to be at the right angle.
You see it?
See light coming through an interventricular foramen. You have to be looking obliquely this way, and I have to have light down. Yeah. See a hole there with light coming through. You have to be looking.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Uh huh.
Now, if we look this way, we would see the other one. Now, this is the next question. In between the two interventricular foramina, we see solid tissue in the middle. Oh, by the way, which side is this?
That is a posterior.
Yeah, that's right. This is the posterior side. So now we're looking from P to A into the third ventricle. What is that solid tissue in between the two interventricular foramina?
Massa intermedia.
No, that's further back.
Shit. Let's see what else we got here.
This makes the front wall of the third ventricle.
Oh.
It begins with, it has a two-word name, the first word of which begins with an L.
About the second word.
The second word begins with a T.
Lamina terminalis.
Correct. The lamina terminalis. So to see the lamina terminalis, this is the only slice which shows it. You have to be looking from P toward A into the third ventricle. So you're looking from P toward A. You see the back of the front wall of the third ventricle. That's the lamina terminalis. Okay, which is a subdivision of which part of the brain? It begins with a T.
Thalamus.
No, not thalamus. T-E.
Tegmentum.
No. So you got to learn that.
Was that it?
You finally have to just bite the bullet and learn the graphic synopsis of brain regions.
Bite the bullet.
Nah.
No, that's not tectum. T-E-L.
Telencephalon.
Correct.
Yes!
The cerebral hemispheres and the lamina terminalis make the telencephalon. Okay.
Kill me.
The cerebral hemispheres and the lamina terminalis make the telencephalon. Okay, so what's this white over here?
I feel it.
No.
What's that
Was that
white?
the cellular
Posterior
bridges
limb of the
again?
internal capsule.
Say again?
Posterior limb of the internal capsule.
Correct. And how do you know it's the posterior limb?
Because we're in the posterior side.
Because it's bordered by the thalamus and the lentiform nucleus. What borders the anterior limb?
We said this one.
The caudate
Thalamus.
and at least some part of the lentiform nucleus. So the anterior limb is bordered by the caudate medially and at least some part of the lentiform nucleus laterally. The posterior limb is bordered by the thalamus medially instead of the head of the caudate, and then the lentiform nucleus laterally. Okay, so that's the way that works.
What else we got?
Well, we have some repetition here. You know, we have this, as I said, the sequence over here. We have to go over that again.
No.
Okay. Now, what's this space? Well, let's see what else we can see here before we get to that space. All right. Now, this doesn't show so well on this one. I probably have to ask it on something
You
else.
sure it's just spinning your head around?
Screwed as usual.
Okay. So here is the putamen. What is immediately lateral to the putamen? Say again?
I'm not sure if it's right.
Immediately lateral to the putamen.
Colostrum.
No, that would be.
Stream capsule.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Extreme?
External.
yeah, the external capsule.
Damn.
Yeah, the
Now,
external
what is a thin gray strip which doesn't unfortunately show well on this one?
claustrum.
The claustrum. What's lateral to that?
That should be
Extreme
extreme
That's
capsule.
right. What's the, now, this is visible. What's this gray matter over here? The insula. What's this space?
Inferior horn of the bow.
No.
No.
We're too far anterior for that.
No.
This space.
Separates the temporal lobe.
Temporal sulcus.
Well, the insula makes its its internal medial wall. It's a sulcus. The word in front of sulcus begins with an L.
Lateral.
Lateral.
Correct, that's right.
That was so hard.
There's a blood vessel in it right over there.
Is it bleeding?
What is that?
Basilar?
No,
That's not even close.
no, it's right.
That's not even close.
That's right.
You're correct, it's not even close.
Well, the basilar artery is ascending on the inferior surface of the rhombencephalon, going to the circle of Willis, so we're nowhere near that. We're way too far anterior for that. The word after the begins with an M. And the second word, the word after that begins with a C. And the word after that begins with an A.
Cerebral aqueduct.
No, because that wouldn't work for this location over here. That's
Wait, what did you say?
Something artery.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, how did she even?
Correct.
Middle cerebral artery.
Yeah.
What is it?
Tell her which is one.
The artery which branches within the lateral sulcus is the middle cerebral artery.
There it is. Oh. Middle cerebral artery.
Yeah, the artery which branches within the lateral sulcus is the middle cerebral artery. Now, somewhere in one of these slices, we can see it, branch of it cut transversely because it was extending this way. That's not on this slice, though. Okay, so you see, this is important. It's got lots of important stuff. Because here we have temporal lobe close to the pole.
More anterior, please.
Okay, so let's go to this one. Oh, what time is it now, by the way?
Oh, I can see the lines now.
3:15 or so.
Okay.